let's get started. Oops, I jumped ahead a second. All right. This is the, all right. Sorry, 1 second. All right. So we might have to do it being this way because I don't think I can see myself and this at the same time. So I'm just going to make this a lot bigger. Okay. So Peggy the List Foundation, like a lot of other nonprofits, funds our work through 5 primary revenue streams. So we have corporate sponsorships, and you've heard me talk a lot about the corporate sponsors for this year's summit. Many of those same companies support us at other points during the year through our gala, through special programs that we do, like the diff campaign. So we're very grateful to them for that. Another big source of revenue is our special events. We have an annual gala every year in October, fingers crossed that we're all out of self-isolation, able to do that by now. And then Rich's family for the past, I'd say, is it 7 years, Rich?
This will be 7.
Yeah.
We can have it,
yeah, if we can do it. So the past 6 years, Rich's family has done a picnic and a cornhole tournament where they live in Maryland, and he's going to talk more about that towards the end. And the 3 other primary areas are individual giving, which is just people giving us money. I've been asking folks to donate here and there throughout the summit. We have the most people. We get the most number of donations from individuals, but that's not the biggest part of our budget. We do get some grants from foundations like Pew Charitable Trusts, and then we have another thing, which is program revenue, which is basically either myself or someone else from the foundation goes and gives a speech or presents to an organization, and they basically give us like an honorarium for that. That's not a big part of our revenue. So the next, I just wanted to give folks a sense of like what our fundraising has looked like over time. So back in 2010, when we first started, we had our first fundraiser. We basically raised about $20,000 from a fundraiser that was in recognition of what would have been Peggy's 57th birthday. We raised about $20,000 for that. And then we raised about another $5,000 to just people making donations in her memory soon after she passed away. So our first year we raised $26,000. Now this year, before COVID-19 hit, and well, what you see right there is last year, and so you'll see that last year we raised almost about $250,000. Trying to do the math in my head, it's not working out too well. So at $260,000, you can kind of see the breakdown where about half of it is corporate sponsorships. Another big slice is the gala and the Dexter picnic, and then we get about $50,000 a year from individual donations. And that's basically how we fund this, right? That's how we travel. That's how we do the summit. That's how I get paid, and how we manage to do this sort of year after year. So. So just a little more detail on this. So in terms of last year, this is like our current funding model. So we get corporate sponsorships that do both specific projects and also general operations. We get grants for things like the summit. And then in terms of individual giving, and so we're going to give you an example. Christina has a really cool example of what she did last year. That comes to like us sending people letters in the mail asking them for money. It comes through social media. And it also comes through people wanting to do gifts in honor of a loved one, or gifts in honor of someone who they've lost, or even in honor of something like a person joining our board of directors, around that. So these are kind of gifts to kind of commemorate an important moment in somebody's life or the end of somebody's life. And again, it's not a huge part of our money, but it's money that we find particularly very touching and meaningful to us. I don't keep trying to hit the wrong thing. Okay, so one of the cooler events that we do every year is the Judy Dexter Picnic and Cornhole Tournament. And so I've asked for Rich to tell you guys a little bit about how they got that started, and sort of how it's grown over the years. And yeah, Rich, if you just want to take it away and tell folks a bit about that.
Sure. Thanks, Christian. So we lost our mom, her battle to C. diff in 2013, May. This was devastating to us as a family. She was our matriarch, and we needed her. We now faced a change that we weren't comfortable with. Our birthdays and holidays had a huge piece missing. The following year in February, we had Mom's traditional family fondue function. And we decided that we wanted to throw a party or a function to honor Mom and have fun with family and friends. The things she loved the most. My brothers and I also decided to throw a cornhole tournament to keep things interesting for us. So we decided on this picnic. As we approached the date of the picnic, we realized we should use this to donate to a worthy cause. And when we found Christian and the Peggy Lillis Foundation towards the end of Mom's life, it wasn't until the end, but their kindness, empathy, and passion for fighting C. diff really stood out to us. So we wanted to raise money for them. So our first picnic was in 2014. We sold tickets through an event platform. The tickets included food, drinks, DJ, kids games, raffles, face painting, and of course, cornhole. We even had Henry, the helping hand, to demonstrate that costume to help demonstrate proper hand washing, and some of the older kids got to use that. At the picnic, Christian and Chris passed out information. We spoke to who Peggy was and what the foundation was all about. The picnic was a huge success. I think we raised about $8,000 that year, I think, and over the last 6 years, we've raised over $90,000. So it's been really cool. Planning and putting on the picnic was and is a lot of work. But we have a big family of doers. We figured out who's the best at what, and it all kind of comes together. Maybe last minute, but that's how we roll, right? So that's how family functions are. Each year it tends to get bigger and bigger. Folks tell us that it's something they look forward to every year. My advice to locally raising money is to start by tapping into all your resources. Use family, friends, connections, the Peggy Lillis Foundation, our advocates. Use social media platform to get the word out and keep talking about it. Pick a time of year that makes sense to do. We use the first week after our mom died. That typically falls in early June before schools are out. In our case, the more the kids have fun and are occupied, the more the parents have a blast. So every year I get anxious to how the picnic will go. Each year I'm proud of what we have accomplished for our amazing family, our close friends and family, and for the Peggy Lillis Foundation, most importantly, our mom. So it's been a good ride and hope to continue.
Yeah, and I've my mom was from a big family too. And every year what I love about the picnic is that it just feels like family. It doesn't feel like a schmaltzy special event. It doesn't feel like you're getting like a rubber chicken dinner. It just feels like very warm and fun. And just, I think that people sometimes think like, oh, if I want to do a fundraiser, like I have to like make it complicated and rent a hall and everything. And, you guys are just doing this in your dad's backyard.
Started in a park, but then we went, we can keep this more simple than this, right?
So there are lots of ways, and I think what you made a great example of, I had been a professional fundraiser for many years before my mom passed, so I had, skills, and we, for our family to get together, we have to rent a hall usually because there's so many of us, so that kind of made sense for us, but I think, you guys sort of, zeroing on cornhole and sort of taking the talents of each member of your family and really leaning into that is what anyone can do. And so, with that as an example, because we do want to leave some time for questions if people have them, I would love for Christina to talk about this really fun thing that she did last year, which was she did a fundraising campaign around holiday ornaments. So Christina, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you. And I just want everybody to know that those that aren't comfortable with fundraising, I'm that person exactly. And so I wanted to take on this challenge and do something a little bit different, that kind of, educated people about Peggy Lillis Foundation and raised some money, and also helped me grow as a fundraiser, because I want to get good at that skill. So I have a tiny little crafting business that most often I even forget about, but we make these Christmas ornaments. And I decided that instead of just using Facebook as a platform to ask for money, I wanted to make it more personal. I wanted to be invested. I wanted, people to get something from me, a little gift for their donation. And so I made a box of ornaments, and anybody that donated $25 or $50 or more got a box of these ornaments to go with their donation. And I put in, a flyer, and then also the newsletter that Christian sends out. And I feel like a very good response. I just went around my neighborhood, and I raised $700 in probably about 10 days. And so I was very excited about that. And one of our neighbors, his father actually passed from C. diff, and he had been in contact with me while his father was sick. And of course, the Peggy Lillis Foundation is where I referred him. And they were the first ones to just come over and hand me a check for $100. And so I'm excited about just making it so personal, where, you're walking on the pavement, you're bringing it to their house, you're knocking on their door, and you're bringing them ornaments. And it's this, it was around the Christmas time when people are excited. And, I'm excited to build on my skill. I learned a little bit in the process, and I want to continue to make this grow. So, when I give money, if it's a place where I believe in their mission and what they're about, I'm happy to give that money. It feels good to give that money. And that's my goal, is to educate these people. This organization is look what they're about, look at the people that they're helping. It's an honor to give our money to them, because they do big things about it. And so that's my goal, is just to educate people as well, that, this organization is just a powerhouse, and we get things done. So. Oh, we can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry, I had the microphone off because Maggie was barking in the background. I didn't want her to. Maggie is our dog, by the way. For anyone who doesn't know that. When you first came to me with this idea, I thought it was such a great idea, because it spoke to like your interests, your skills, your talents, and I think it's something similar to like what the Dexters did. Is you leaned into what you were good at, and you made it really personal. You made it really warm and giving. And I think, we have some other examples of people. Another advocate, Eric from Rhode Island, when his mom passed away from C. diff, he just like kind of emailed all of his friends and asked them to donate. And he sent a very personal email about what he had gone through and how we had helped him. It raised quite a bit of money. And so I think, everything, whether it's, the Dexter's raising $8,000 in an event, or you raising $700 or $800, it all matters. And it also brings the awareness of C. diff, which is something that we're always trying to do. Like, we've had all of these great discussions about policy and advocacy and treatments and stuff over the past couple of days. And the thing of it is that the more people that get involved, maybe that first involvement is through a donation, but now when we do this outreach to CMS, to Centers for Medicare and Medicaid next week, hopefully some of them will take the initiative to write and say, I care about C. diff because I knew Christina Fuhrman and her daughter, who both battled C. diff, and I, want it to be better for them, So we're sort of making it more and more personal and real to people. And so it's not just the money, it's the building of community that I think both the picnic and the ornament thing brings to mind. Like, we to this day, we get people that send us pictures and stuff of like them drinking with a Peggy Lillis Foundation mug that they got at a gala, or, working out with a thermos that they got from something. And so all the time it's sort of raising awareness and keeping people in mind. So I don't, what we did want to talk about was like whether or not folks have, oops, what did I do here? I had one more slide.
I think also one thing that's fortunate and unfortunate is 6, 7 years ago, not as many people we thought knew about C. diff, right? And so we certainly didn't, but now more and more people know somebody that has it, and so they're more into saying like, oh, what's that all about? You know, like my cousin got it, my aunt got it, those kind of things. So the message seems to get out there a lot better and quicker.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a harbinger of gloom, but I mean, I think something that we're going to see over the next, few months to a year as COVID moves to the country and other places is that, people who recover from COVID or are being treated for COVID may very well get a secondary infection. That could be pneumonia. That could be, something else if they end up in septic shock. There's a whole range of things that can go wrong for people. And they will very likely be given antibiotics as a result of that. And, that will then make them susceptible to C. diff. And so, we wish that was not the case, but it's the kind of thing that I think you're likely to see, especially as hospitals are really, really stretched to capacity. And so, we've seen the stories about healthcare workers not having enough personal protective equipment. And so, we know that in the cities that are most affected by this, there's probably not as much patient safety going on as there normally would be, just because they're just completely overwhelmed. So I have a great picture of you of the three of us on the screen from last year's summit. And I should take my sunglasses off on the top of my head.
You not have one now.
Like a little dorky. But if folks have questions that they want to ask us, we would love to have you type them in. Or if you have ideas, please let us know. Or if you want to pop onto camera, you can do that by just hitting participate. We have about 6 minutes left for the next session, so we'd love to have to hear from you guys.
I wanted to say a couple of quick things, if you don't mind, real quick, Christian. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Well, one thing, perhaps when we're getting our story out, or when I'm putting my flyers out, maybe many people haven't heard of C. diff, but we know that more cases are coming. It's such an issue out there, and so they're going to remember what I distributed. They're going to remember the Peggy Lillis Foundation, when and if they do encounter themselves or a loved one encounters C. diff. And so we're also like setting the stage for these future relationships through, and just like what Rich does, he's setting the stage for, future relationships for people to come to Peggy Lillis Foundation when they need it. And also, if your first fundraiser does not go well, do not get discouraged. This is a growing process. You're learning. You'll get more comfortable with it. And Christian is just there. He gives so much support and direction. And, and so I feel like we just have the perfect platform to learn how to be good fundraisers together. So.
And I think, yeah, and I really, appreciate that. And it's something that, is a weird thing, like, for folks who listen to my talk on Monday, we did not have much growing up. We were on welfare. Mom was single for most of our childhood. And so I think as a result of that, like, I didn't develop any weird, like, things about money. Like, it just, like, I never had any. And so, like, to me, it was like, okay, well, other things need money. And so if I can ask people for money for those things that I care about, I didn't have a lot of hangups around it. And so I think that that's something that folks can also keep in mind, is that, even though I, make my living now running the foundation, like, when I'm asking for money for the foundation, it's not for me, it's so that we can, enables us to do this work. And so I think that that's another thing to keep in mind, is that asking people to donate to a nonprofit is not about them giving you the money. It's about them supporting a cause that you care about and hopefully they care about as well. And it's true, like, we've had 10 galas, there's been 6 Dexter picnics, there's been, 10 years of us being active on social media. And I mean, I don't think I go every 2 or 3 months, somebody will reach out and say, sorry, I just had some background noise. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I had another window that people were talking in. So we have a couple, another minute or two, and we're going to head over to the next presentation, which is going to be on how COVID-19 is affecting clinical trials.